Today I get to talk with Ray Horner. He is the operations manager at Rubber City Radio Group. Ray, how are you today?
I'm very good, Sarah. Thanks for having me.
Yes, and actually, if you guys don't know, I am also a fill-in over at Rubber City Radio doing some news.
Fill-in. Well, you are a talent. You're not fill-in.
A talent over at Rubber City Radio. Thank you.
You're welcome.
That's very kind. And I've been doing some news over there, and I get to host the Ray Horner Show at the end of the month this month, so I'm excited to do that.
Yeah, you'll be on the 30th and the 31st.
Yes, 30th and 31st, because Ray gets to take a vacation.
Taking a little time.
Are you doing anything fun?
Yes, we're going to go see the Trans-Siberian Orchestra.
Ooh.
We're going to go skiing as a family.
That's awesome.
So, yeah, we got some little day trips planned.
That'll be great.
Yeah.
All right. So, for people who don't know you, you have been doing the morning show at Rubber City Radio on WAKR for how long?
25 years.
25 years.
And before that, I was in the Erie, Pennsylvania market.
Okay.
For about 17 years. I was lucky enough when I got out of school in Dayton, got a job right away in radio. It's
That's
kind
awesome.
of something I always wanted to do. When I was in high school, I used to drive down to the local radio station and hang out with the talent there.
That's so cool.
My first dream was sports play-by-play.
Okay.
Which I did a whole lot of that in the last 40 years.
You definitely have, yeah.
And then I went to school, roundabout way, made it to Akron, and now 25 years later, still here, lucky enough.
That's so fun. So early in your career, I want to hear like an early on story of something fun that happened, maybe at your first station over there in Erie.
Well, my very first day.
Your very first day.
My very first day on the radio. I'm a nervous wreck. They hired me to do overnights. I'm 22 years old. I'm doing sports play-by-play. I came in that night, and I'm doing an on-air show. So I'm doing midnight till 6 o'clock in the morning. And I sit down, and I'm doing my show. And keep in mind, there's 3 radio stations. A lot of these people have been there before. And I look to my right, and there's a lady that was doing overnights on the country station.
Okay.
And she's making these gestures at me. And I'm just kind of, I'm 22,
Yeah,
I'm nervous.
it's your first day.
And she's going like this. I'm figuring it's TV rolling, we're on the air. What am I doing wrong? And I keep looking over, and she's doing this. And I go, oh, I got to get up and ask her, what am I doing wrong?
Right.
So I go over to, I forget her name. And I knock on the door, and I said, is there something I'm doing wrong? I said, it's my first night, nervous wreck. And she looked at me, and she said, no, I'm just shooting you with my booger gun.
Oh, my gosh.
And I went, okay. And I walked out, and I said, am I really into the right business? But, yeah, I said, so that kind of settled me down a little bit. And then the other story I was telling you about is I made Paul Harvey news and comment. I got lost in a parade. A team was making their way to the state finals. I was broadcasting live from our station van, but I was late getting up there. The van, the buses and the people had gone. I'm chasing through the streets looking for the parade. Everybody's listening to this.
Oh my gosh.
Someone recorded it, sent it to Paul Harvey News and Comment, and he put me on the Paul Harvey
Put you
show.
On the show.
Yes.
How crazy.
Not good things to be remembered for, but
you know
those
what?
are some stories.
They make fun stories. They make fun stories, and it makes it, it makes it fun, right? So tell us some of your fun stories. I want to hear one from WAKR. Can you think of something that's happened in the last 25 years? It could even be like a really fun, interesting guest that you've gotten to have on the show that just was exciting.
As you get a chance to interview a lot of cool people and unique people, especially locally.
Yeah, absolutely.
My fun times have been interviewing some celebrity stars in the entertainment world, and had a chance to interview William Shatner. I've interviewed Bill Cosby. I've interviewed Henry Winkler. Interviewed William Shatner. But I had a chance to go back in time and interview Burt Ward.
Go back in time?
Now, do you know who Burt Ward is?
I do not.
You
Can
probably
you explain?
don't.
Yes.
You go back to the 1960s Batman series.
Okay.
He played Robin on Batman series. Can't remember, the name slips my mind who played Batman. But anyways, I interviewed Burt Ward, and he never got out of character the whole time I was interviewing. So it was like I was on the Batman series.
So you were interviewing him like he was Robin.
Like he was Robin, and he was talking to me in character form and never came out of the form. And the other one was Bill Cosby, who was quite an interesting interview because I had to do a lot of editing, as you can imagine, as the way the interview went.
That's very interesting. I kind of want to go back and listen to that one. Is that available to listen to?
I think you can find it somewhere on Google. Yes.
If you could,
well edited.
I want to hear it.
Yeah.
Well edited. That's funny. Yeah, he's definitely a personality. We'll just say that.
Yeah, and at that time, it was before all the negative stuff hit him, and he was at that time, he was coming off having the most successful show of the 1990s.
It's true.
And it was really kind of a coup that I got a chance to interview him for 15 minutes. It was really cool, but of course, since then, a lot of bad things.
A lot of things have come out, but I'm sure that at that time, that was a really cool interview to get to do.
It was, yeah.
So you shared a little bit about your story of getting into radio, but what has made you stay, and what makes you love doing radio every day? I mean, this is obviously a passion of yours that you've done long term.
A couple of aspects. One is when I went away to school, I was up in the air. Do I want to get into journalism or teach?
Okay.
I really had a passion. I love to work with kids. And if you look at, quote, the Ray Horner resume, there's a lot of stuff, Big Brothers and Sisters, Salvation Army, a lot of things that I like to do for kids that sometimes, through no fault of their own, don't have a full hand.
Right.
So I've spent a lot of time working with kids. So that goes back to my teenage days where I said, well, I'm going to go to school, journalism or teaching. I ended up going to journalism. On the other side, I get to still teach, and I get to help kids in my current role. Being a morning host here in Akron for 25 years, I've been able to, through some work, help out kids in different organizations, do a lot of things that way. I also get to teach. There's a lot of young broadcast. You're a young broadcaster.
Yeah.
Other people that have come into the building where I get to kind of teach them and show them the rights and wrongs. And also I'm a big community family guy. And I get to help out the Akron community in the ways that I can, giving them a platform, letting them speak their mind, whether it be the mayor, whether it be a senator, whether it be the head of a civic organization. So that passion trickles down to radio where I'm able to help out a community, help out maybe some families, help out some kids, and that's always been front and center with me.
Yeah. I know sports is really big for you as well. Do you have a favorite moment that you've been able to cover in sports, or a favorite person that you've been able to interview in the sports world?
Joe DiMaggio.
Oh, yeah.
I had a chance to interview Joe DiMaggio. This is going back years ago. I was in Erie, and I asked him about Marilyn Monroe. And he kind of dodged the question at first, but then he came back and he was very soft-spoken, and he says, so why do you want to know about Marilyn Monroe? I said, well,
my gosh,
everybody wants to know about the relationship with Marilyn Monroe. And his simple word was, I loved her, and I still love her to this day. And actually, up until the day he died, he brought roses to her gravesite each and every year on her birthday. But I've had a chance through sports to interview Joe Garagiola, Stan Musial, a lot of the famous Indians and Guardians. Bob Feller was a wonderful interview.
Gosh, what a cool guy.
As a matter of fact, with the Indians/Guardians, I wanted to do about a 15, 20-minute sit-down interview with him, knowing that his time was going to come. He was up there in age. And Senior VP with the Guardians, Bob DiBiasio, called me at home one night. He said, what are you doing? I said, oh, I'm just sitting here making dinner. He said, it's raining up here. I said, okay. He said, get in your car. I got Bob Feller here. He's yours for 30 minutes. Zip on up here right now.
Oh, my gosh.
So I jumped in the car, zipped up there, and Mr. Feller gave me 30 minutes, and we covered everything from Iowa to World War II to the Pacific Theater to playing his first game. His mind was sharp as a tack, to his playing days, to his retirement and being part of the organization. That was probably the number one interview with me because I got 30 minutes.
Wow.
He wasn't in a hurry. He was just wonderful to interview.
Yeah, and he's just such a special part of that organization as well, so that's really cool. So what do you want to leave behind for your legacy? I know it's a big question, but you've been doing this for a while. You're still doing it, but someday you will not be doing it.
True.
Way in the future, hopefully.
I'm just happy the door opens every morning when I go into work.
What do you want to leave behind? What do you hope is the Ray Horner legacy?
Someone who helped the community. It's real important to me. When When I was in Erie, I did that. And I remember when I took the job here at WAKR 25 years ago,
Yeah.
a gentleman came up to me who worked at Allegheny College and he said, you're going into a place that has deep hearts and it doesn't get its due. He said, I can't wait to talk to you in a few years. And his name was Rick. I said, okay, I will. And, since then I've obviously talked to him. But he was absolutely right. There's so much big hearts and giving here in the Akron area. And I've had the pleasure of being part of that. So, if you're talking about a legacy, it's not Ray Horner being on the mornings. It's not Ray Horner, the sports announcer. I would just like to be known as a guy who really helped out different groups, organizations, people that really cared about the community. Because that is, you asked me a few minutes ago, that is my passion. Is I love and I find it a privilege of being on this radio station, WAKR, this iconic Akron station, and I get to do the mornings on the station. That is the legacy.
It is a legacy. And actually, it's interesting, I think I've shared this with you before, but my aunt was reminding me every morning when they woke up, my grandmother, who is now since passed away, they would listen to WAKR every single morning, and it was a part of their life.
Right.
And it's become a part of so many people's lives here in Akron, and it's kind of cool to see those full circle moments come around, for me to know, hey, my grandmother listened to this, and now I get to be a part of that as well.
You are now part of it.
Yeah.
I talked to a lot of, it's interesting. I don't want to call them kids, but young men and young women who will come up to me where I'm at a broadcast place or someplace, and they'll say, you interviewed me when I was in high school. I was a student athlete, and I never forget about that. Or I remember you interviewed me talking about the park or something in school, or I did an art project, and I saved that interview. That's stuff that gets the hair still up on my neck. I love that.
Yeah, absolutely. So share with us just a little bit about what WAKR is doing right now. I know you guys have some things going on, and so we'd love to know what's going on right now.
75 years WAKR has been part of Share a Christmas,
okay.
Helping out the Salvation Army. And I've had a privilege of being part of it for 25 years.
Yeah.
But 75 years, they've raised a lot of money. And it's through wonderful hearts again. We get back to that of people who we call up from Goodyear to the Guardians to the Cavaliers to the Rubber Ducks to all these different people who we call up and say, hey, do you want to help out the Salvation Army? We're going to do this online auction. Sure, what can we do? And we try to be creative with it. We got a behind-the-scenes tour of the Akron Zoo. The blimp rides aren't for sale. The Cleveland Cavaliers giving us a tour of Rocket Mortgage Loans Arena, and then 2 seats right beside Tim Alcorn, the broadcaster. So we put these together, and through the generosity of the greater Akron area, people bid on these packages, and then every dollar, there's no middleman, every dollar goes right back to the Salvation Army. It's part of our campaign. I started 3 years ago a year-long campaign. We used to just do it in December, and I said, you know what, we can do a lot more. And I have a privilege now. I'm on the advisory board with the Salvation Army now of Summit County. So I said, we can do a lot more. For example, next week I'm taking a busload of listeners down to West Virginia, and we're going to Mountaineer. We're going to Ogle Bay Resort for the drive-through light display.
Oh, fun.
And part of the proceeds from that go to the Salvation Army. We've taken busloads of people up to Detroit for a baseball game, to Pittsburgh for a baseball game, to Amish country to do some shopping. We do a lot of things throughout the course of the year with proceeds from that going back to the Salvation Army. I think last year, through our efforts, it was right around $30,000 that we raised for the Salvation Army. And so that's kind of what we do with AKR. The other side, I always say we're a 3-prong attack. We have the morning show, which is community-oriented, that Sarah's going to be hosting, by the way, on the 30th and 31st. But we have that show that goes till 9. And then during the course of the year, we have the best variety of the 70s and 80s. Right now, we have the Sounds of the Season that goes until Christmas Day.
Christmas,
and then at night, we have a ton of sports. We carry all the Cavs games, Ohio State men's basketball, Ohio State football, all the Guardians games, and the Browns. So it's kind of 3 different stations there for everybody.
3 in 1.
3 in 1.
Yes. Yeah. All coming together. That's
that sounds like a branding imaging idea.
It does. All right. That sounds great. How can people find you? How can they find the station if they want to connect with you, if they want to follow you on social media or follow the station? How can they do that?
Yeah, it's easily done. If you go to wakr.net, there's a little Ray Horner thing. You click there, and my email address is there. But you can follow us at wakr.net, WAKR Mornings at wakr.net is the Facebook.
Great.
We have Facebook. We have our YouTube channel. I really encourage everyone through efforts to take in the Horner's Corner shows that I've been doing for a year now, where we sit down with we say Akron's greats.
Yeah.
And we do 30-minute conversations, and that's gone over very well. So I think if you Google Ray Horner, you'll find a lot of stuff, more than you probably want.
Find all this stuff. All right. As we're wrapping up, Ray, and people are watching, let's just give some words of inspiration to someone who maybe is thinking about going into broadcasting. Let's think back to Ray Horner in his 20s. What were the words that you needed when you were in your 20s going into broadcasting? Let's give some inspirational words.
Well, I didn't need any words.
You didn't need any words.
I'm one of the, I hate to say this, but I'm living a dream. I mean, in 7th, 8th grade, I wanted to get into broadcasting, and it was kind enough that veteran broadcasters let me come on up to their radio station, which, by the way, at that time was right above a Kentucky Fried Chicken.
Oh my gosh!
So I'm sitting in there.
You're smelling chicken the whole time.
And the veteran broadcasters would let me have some of their chicken that they had. But I would say in the broadcasting area, it is currently in flux. When I came in, there was a lot of hosting, there was DJs, there was all this stuff going on. There were no websites, though. There were no social media. So the jobs in journalism and broadcasting have changed.
Yeah.
There's still hosting, as you know. There's still limited news positions.
Right.
There's still some morning hosts, because that's where we do. But there's also a lot of podcasting, editing, posting, production work. So those jobs that weren't there 30 years ago are now front and center, where some of the, quote, DJ and some of those other jobs have kind of disappeared.
Yeah.
So there's still jobs if you love broadcasting, because everybody now can be a broadcaster.
That's true.
You can put a mic plug into your laptop.
Go on your phone.
You can go on your phone, and you can be a broadcaster. But if you really want to get into the professional side of things, there are really good opportunities still there. They're not the same ones that were there in the 80s, late 70s, early 80s when I got into the business. But there's plenty of job opportunities, the editing, the production work, the doing live stuff on scene, the social media. There's all sorts of jobs that are still readily available. Even though it's changing, there's broadcast jobs out.
Yeah, I think that's really important to expand your definition of maybe of the work that you're looking for, and be willing to train in different
Our phones
arenas.
And cameras have made it very easy to do.
Absolutely. Yeah. So, well, thank you so much for being with me today.
I love what you do on the show. You do a great job of connecting and informing the community on what you guys do, and that's why you were a natural to step in and do some of the shows coming up in December.
I appreciate that. Thank you for being here, and thank you for all that you've done in our Akron community over the last 25 years on WAKR and many more. So
thank you for the
thankful
kind
for
words.
you. All right. Thank you guys so much for watching. Make sure you stay tuned. We've got more great stuff coming up on Good Morning Akron.